Welcome back to News 46. A horse was rescued this afternoon from a fence on Blagg Road. Several passerbys called Nye County Animal Control to help the animal that appeared to have lodged its legs into the fence, reportedly for some time. The horse was lying on its side and no longer struggling. According to the reports, the rescuers were able to free the animal that appears to have not suffered any major injury. 18 people are homeless because of a structure fire. They all resided inside the same home on Leslie Street. We caught up with Pastor Ron Fairbairn and one of the occupants of the house to get an update.
We were all sleeping, and my brother, he woke us all up because his room was all dark, and we went out and checked the fuse boxes, and his wife could smell smoke. So she went and she shut all the boxes off. And her and my oldest son went out to check the main box in the yard, and my son told her that he could see smoke coming from the roof. So they ran back inside yelling for all of us to get up and get out because the house was on fire. So we got all the kids and people and animals out, and my sister-in-law had called the fire department, and they came, and now our home is unlivable.
So, a structure fire, you had 18 people living in the home?
We had a lot of problems the last couple of years, so everybody kind of had to live together.
You know, this family needs help. If there's anything that the community could do, please just contact everybody. And that's why I called you, Deanna, because, you know, this is bigger than one church. This is bigger than just several people in our community. We need to step up and help a family.
You guys are staying at the Saddle West right now, right?
Yes. The Red Cross put us up, and the help that they gave us, financial help, has about run out, and we're about out of our own resources. So,
are you guys working?
No, we're actually, most of us are disabled.
And so, what can be done? Are you looking for a new home?
We are. We are looking for a home. We've been trying to get a way to buy a home. Mm-hmm. But every time we save up money, something comes up. There's been several deaths in the family in the last couple of years, so we always end up having to use our money that we're trying to save for that.
And so what we're looking for is possibly a rental for this family to live.
Yeah.
So how can they contact you, and what is the church able to do at this point?
Well, what we're trying to do is to collect some funds, and you know, with all the food banks and everything, that helps. We can get all the food that the family needs, and the food banks will go above board to help that out. So what they're going to need is, we need a place that we can put this family. And now they've been paying. How much you been paying every month where you're staying?
It was $750 for rent plus all the bills that came with it.
And you've been making all your payments on that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where we're at right now, is that somebody that can step up. Maybe they have a mobile home or a travel trailer on their property, that we can help this family. So we're just putting it out to our community, whatever help that they can give.
All right. Should they contact the church?
Yes. Yep. They can call me at my cell is 775-910-9995.
Well, Pahrump Valley Fire Rescue firefighters Hernandez and Gibson give some techniques and tips on how to properly use a fire extinguisher.
The basic steps of using a fire extinguisher, which involves first pulling the pin so that you can actually squeeze the trigger. Then you grab the nozzle, point it at the fire, and in the sweeping motion from left to right, you start spraying at it as you're walking up to it from a distance about 5 to 10 feet, depending on the extinguisher.
So tell me, the base of the fire, the middle of the fire, what part?
You want to always shoot towards the base of the fire.
There's different ratings, right? Can you tell me about that?
The main ones, there's rated at ABC, which is for different types of fires, which A stands for trash, wood, paper, basic combustibles like that. B would stand for liquids, and C would be for electrical type fires.
That basically hits your ordinary combustibles plus your flammable liquids, and also it could be electronic fire, so it's basically just like you saw, a dry chemical extinguisher.
These fire extinguishers don't put out as much as you would normally think, do they?
No, they're good for putting out a basic, like if your food catches on fire on the stove, or you have something burning in your trash can. Anything larger than that, we recommend to definitely run for the phone and call 911.
What about grease fires? ABC's also put out grease fires?
They do put out grease fires. A good way to put out a grease fire too is if it's just on a pan, is to cover it with a lid. But if it's big enough to where that's not possible, you of course go right to the extinguisher.
How often should people get their fire extinguishers checked?
There is an expiration date, usually on the ones you buy, like at Home Depot. There's an expiration date on the bottom, and rather than get it serviced, it's really easier just to buy a new one when that expiration date expires. Also, to touch on, if you're practicing and you actually discharge a fire extinguisher, at that point it's out of service if it's discharged. So
You can't reuse it.
no.
As soon as you use it the first time, after that the pressure just keeps dissipating, which is why we tell people that if you use it once, that's it, it's done. So once you release the pressure, eventually it'll all let out. So
If you have one inside your car, you should have it secured, shouldn't you? Because I've heard about incidences where they actually have went off inside vehicles.
yeah, some people like to put them in the trunk of their car, and sometimes if you take a turn too hard or something, it can roll around in there and discharge on accident, and that can lead into your actual driving compartment and cause problems for you there. So definitely make sure to secure it, because you don't want it going off and causing an accident either.
And another tip we were told is that it's a good idea to cut off those little plastic security things around the pin so that you can better access the fire extinguisher. Commissioner Butch Borasky spoke to News 46 today about the roundabouts being constructed on Highway 372.
But from what I've seen so far, it's looking good. I'll apologize for NDOT for all delays we're having, but if anybody's has an issue and they can't get through there, I'd be glad to provide them with a way around. All they have to do is give me a call at my office at 751-7075. That's my direct line. If I'm not there, my answering phone will be on. And I'd be glad to take them over and walk them through how to get around there if they don't, if they're having trouble getting to work or whatever. There are alternate routes that you can take. It is an inconvenience, but you have to understand that our highway system coming out of Vegas is actually almost a bypass for Las Vegas and 160 itself. And that's why they're widening it and fixing that up. So.
The roundabouts are set to be done in April, I think. What's the dates?
Well, I'm not sure the exact date, and I think April could be possible. I'm going over to check. I've been over at the one at 372 a dozen or two times, checking on complaints and things from people. And I'm going up to the one near Comstock Park at Blagg Road and look at that one up there and see how that's coming. 2-lane one is a little tougher to navigate because you can get stuck. If you get in the left lane, you can get stuck there if people don't give you the right of way. But if you understand the roundabout and who actually has the right of way, you can go through them pretty easily. The best thing I can tell everybody to do is slow down. It's one of our biggest problems, why we have so many accidents. Again, you have to know if you have the right of way or not. And once you're in the roundabout, you do have the right of way. Anybody entering it has to wait for the traffic that's in there. And if you can get that in your mindset, I think you'll be able to navigate them pretty good.
And here's Angela Miles with today's Business First Brief.
Topping our news, President-elect Donald Trump's warmness toward Russia is not going unnoticed by investors and traders. According to CNBC, Russian stocks are up 16% since the election. One of the big performers, Russian ETF RSX. Senate Democrats, including Elizabeth Warren, are taking on the Trump choice of Steven Mnuchin as the new leader of the U.S. Treasury. A watchdog group says Mnuchin's involvement with One West Bank, formerly known as IndyMac, led to the foreclosures of more than 36,000 families in California alone. Democrats are asking Americans to share their stories on a website in regard to the man they call the foreclosure king. Both Trump and Mnuchin have defended IndyMac. A changeup is happening at Chipotle. The battered burrito chain is tossing out its co-CEO strategy and making Steve Ells its sole leader.
News 46 will return in just a moment.